my power, right? But like I said, to kind of circle back to what I was saying in the beginning, it's, to me, it's like if Erica thinks back many months from now, she's like, hey, at least they taught me how to set goals. At least I heard some positive things when I came, right? So what are some of the things? At whatever point in time we determine to make a change and improve one or more areas of our life, our goals reflect many of our most important desires and aspirations. Consider some common resolutions people set. So sometimes people think goals are just for certain areas of their life. It's for everything. Obviously, people say lose weight, eat healthier, be a better person, spend less, save more, deepen relationship with God, spend more time with family, exercise more often, learn something new, do more good deeds for others, find the love of my life, find a better job. What's your life score, right? So you can write these things down and you can ask yourself, how am I doing in these different areas? Your best year ever is based on 5 key assumptions. First, real life is multifaceted. Our lives are more than our work. They're even more than our families. The way I see it, our lives consist of 10 interrelated domains. Spiritual, your connection to God. Intellectual, your engagement with significant ideas. Emotional, your psychological health. Physical, your bodily health. Marital, your spouse or significant other. Parental, social, vocational, which is your profession. Avocational, your hobbies. Financial, your personal or family finances. Why are goals important? Because progress starts only when you get clear on where you are right now. People that don't have any goals are just confused in life because they don't clearly know where they're going and they don't even know where they are. So they don't know when they're doing good and they don't know when they're doing bad because there's no benchmark to compare against. If I look back at my goals for 2022, there's certain areas where I can say, hey, I wrote this down. I failed miserably at that, but I also wrote this down and I did very well. Maybe I exceeded that. So as parents say, hey, to kids, let me see your report card. You did good, you did bad. But as parents, as we get older, I'm not a parent, but as people get older, right, they have no report card for themselves. Think about that. Right? Think about that. Hey, mom and dad, what have you done to grow your income? What have you done to stay healthy? How many books you read? So part of being a high achiever is constantly giving ourselves a scorecard, giving ourselves a report card, and understanding what areas of life we need to get better. He talks a lot about getting closure on the past, which, I'm not going to give you guys a psychology session right now. But he says, this is a good statement. Dragging the worst of the past into the best of the future is another reason our goals fail. So sometimes we bring people in and they maybe tried sales before. They tried some type of business opportunity before and it didn't work. So they bring the worst of their past. That was something that they see as something bad, even though it's not really that bad to fail, right? And now they're ruining their future because they're bringing their past, right? And they're assuming that their future will be just like their past. I think that's really important to understand that you can't do that. Then he talks about beliefs. And this is really important. Our beliefs play a massive part in how we approach life. We tend to experience what we expect. That was mind-boggling for me, right? Because most people are reactionary. Life kind of happens to them, and then they just kind of move on, right? And they're like, this is happening, this is happening. But the way a winner thinks is they have certain expectations about life, and actually what you expect can, what's from the book, it can bend your reality. If you want to have a better reality, you got to have better expectations. If you expect a poor outcome, that is actually what you are going to manifest and materialize. It's very, very important, right? So when you talk about your next year, when you talk about your goals, when you talk about what you're going to accomplish, you got to be really optimistic. Or else what? You are going to manifest exactly what you don't want. Our real world is in many ways an expected world. What we see, hear, taste, feel, and experience is produced from the top down as much as it is from the bottom up. Our predictions for the near and distant future bend reality because our expectations shape what is possible. They shape our perceptions and our actions. This means that they shape our outcomes, and that means they shape our reality, right? So our expectations shape what we believe is possible, which shape our perceptions, which shape our actions, and then that shapes our outcomes. So let me give you an example of this. I say, okay, I'm not great at finding clients, right? Like this, somebody said, I asked a bunch of people, they said no. What a winner says is, all right, I got to figure out how to get people to say yes. And then I'm going to be a producer. Because I wasn't a producer, I'm going to be a great producer. Because I've been a weak producer, I'm going to be a great producer. So you write this goal down and you say, I expect myself to be a great producer, great at setting appointments, and I'm going to be a top producer. Now you've set out that expectation. So what happens? Next time there's a training and Bao comes up and she's like, hey, this is what I did. Chandel comes up. This is exactly what I said. This is exactly what I did. Now your antenna is up because you set an expectation. You're noticing something that ordinarily maybe you would have slept through that meeting in a sense. You would have been distracted. But now because you set the expectation, you're hearing what you need to hear. Then you use that, you get the result, you start getting more yeses, you start getting better at setting appointments, you start getting some clients, you have now bended your reality from changing your expectation. Or you can say, I suck at getting appointments, I suck at getting production, and nothing that comes in your life you're going to be aware of. You have to expect better, right? And this is really important. One of the biggest reasons we don't succeed with our goals is we doubt we can. People have just a very poor belief system. That's why it's cool to hang out with successful people because they're so optimistic, right? People are accomplished, they're achieving things, right? And so they think that a lot of things are possible that in a different circle, people wouldn't think is possible. They think it's a pipe dream. They think, oh, that's for somebody else. So we doubt that we can. We believe the goals are out of reach. So this is important. Polls show the percentage of people in their 20s who achieve New Year's resolutions is far greater than those over 50. In fact, while 8 in 10 millennials set resolutions, almost 7 in 10 adults over 65 say setting resolutions is a waste of time. It's sad, but the greatest number of setbacks we've experienced in life, the less likely we are to believe we can prevail. Doubt is a goal toxin. Some people think that their abilities are set in stone. This is huge, right? Just like that book Mindset, remember? Growth It was growth thinkers versus growth mindset versus fixed mindset. So this statement, there's entire books written on this, that some people think that their abilities are set in stone. You've heard people say this: I'm just no good at X, Y, or Z. Right? Well, do you want to stay no good or do you want to get better? That's your choice. But a fixed mindset person thinks that whatever I can do is whatever I can do. Whatever I can't do is I can't do that. Oh, is this sales? I can't do it. Oh, you got to take a test? I'm really bad at tests. I mean, has someone ever gone from being bad at sales to good at sales? Has someone ever gone from being a bad test taker to a good test taker? Yes, it's happened. So if you want to choose to be that way, that's fine. And he talks about the difference between a scarcity thinker versus an abundance thinker. And this is important, right? So a scarcity thinker is entitled, fearful, believes there will never be enough. They're stingy with their knowledge, contacts, compassion. Assume they are the way they are. They default to suspicion. They resent competition, believing it makes the pie smaller and them weaker. Are pessimistic about the future, believing that tough times are ahead. See challenges as obstacles. And they think small and avoid risk. Man, you missed the best part. Literally, right? Scarcity thinkers. So when I interview people, when I meet people, I don't get as disappointed as I used to get, John, when someone used to say no to me, because I can hear when I have a conversation with you, oh, you don't think you can get better. Oh, you think you just are the way that you are. You're scared. You think, oh, I only know 3 people. What's going to happen after? I'm like, this is a scarcity thinker. Right? Now, here's an abundance thinker. They're thankful. They're confident. They believe there's always more where that came from. Are happy to share their knowledge, contacts, and compassion. Assume they can learn, grow, develop. They default to trust and openness. They welcome competition, believing it'll make the pie bigger and them better. They're optimistic about the future, believing the best is yet to come. They see challenges as opportunities. They think big and embrace risk. Let's talk about limiting beliefs. There's 3 kinds of limiting beliefs. And as you go through the holidays and you're around friends and family, you will hear things like this. It's easy to spot limiting beliefs in our own thinking if we're attentive. Start with assumptions we hold about the world. I can't start a new business right now. The market is terrible. Somebody might say. Or, I don't trust management. They're always trying to cheat us. Or, those politicians are going to I don't even know what this means, deep six the economy and make it impossible for me to get ahead. This book is written 5 years ago. Anyone ever heard someone say that? The government is conspiring to basically keep us down, the left, the right. These can be very deep-seated beliefs, but they're not always reality, and they're rarely the whole truth, even when it seems accurate. We've got to learn to question and even dismiss them, or they will limit our freedom and motivation to act. We also have limiting beliefs about others. It's no use asking, you might say, he's too busy to meet with me. Or she's just a bean counter. What can she possibly know? Or he hasn't responded yet. I guess he might be upset with me. Or someone like her would never go out with a person like me. These aren't truths necessarily. They're just beliefs we let influence us. And the third type of belief, right? So about the world, about others, and then about ourselves. The third type of limiting belief is where it really hits home for most of us. I'm talking about beliefs about ourselves. We might say, I'm a quitter. I never finish what I start. Or I can't help it. I've never been physically fit. Or I've always been terrible with money. Or I'm just not the creative type. These beliefs are often false half-truths at best, and they will roadblock any progress you want to make in life. There's a couple more things, but I want to get to this before I get to the, I just want to, when I was younger, I used to talk about this a lot when I had a very young team. And it's choose your circle wisely. We all hear this, right? But we can't hear it enough. Choose your circle wisely. Honestly, I didn't always believe this. I used to share my goals with anyone who would listen. Right? I didn't always believe this. I used to share my goals with anyone who would listen. In fact, I even posted them on my blog for the world to see. Then I heard this guy on a TED Talk, right? The repeated psychology tests have proven that telling someone your goal makes it less likely to happen, he said. Why? Because your brain experiences the same sense of satisfaction as if you had actually accomplished it. It works against you. Okay? Should we share our goals? Yes, but not with everyone. Share them selectively with supportive friends, people who understand the goal-setting process, people who are willing to hold us accountable, people who are willing to call us out when we're making excuses, people who can encourage and energize us when we hit the messy middle. Belief is easier when it occurs within a community, right? So if someone comes in here in the outside world, you're working at Starbucks. In the Primerica world, you say, hey, I want to make 100 grand. In this community, right, is the word he uses, which we are, that can actually be a real thing. But if you go back to the people at Starbucks and you're like, I'm going to make 100 grand, they're going to laugh at you. That's why it's going to be part of a community where people are thinking and talking about the same things, and we all have a similar goal because it's easier for that belief to happen, right? All right. So let's start on the actual goal setting process here. Yeah. I think Michael Hyatt. Yeah, Michael Hyatt, like the hotel. All right. Why set goals? Direction, right? Progress starts when you are clear on where you are right now. It's a barometer for performance. People that don't set goals are scared to fail. They don't want to set a goal because they're scared that they're not going to achieve it. Even if no one else knows, right? They don't even want to face themselves. That is weak. And you're not going to win that way. And that's not how winners think, right? So you got to set your goals so you have a barometer for your performance. It helps decision making. If someone didn't have a goal to have a certain body fat percentage, let's say, then what would it matter what they're eating for lunch or for dinner, or if they're eating donuts or if they're eating protein, right? It doesn't matter. But when you have goals, it affects your decision. That's why people are out there just doing whatever the hell they want to do because they don't have goals. It does not matter. That's why people watch Netflix for 6 hours after work. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make them bad people. It just means that, like, I can't do that. You think I can come up here week after week and do hour-long trainings every single week if I'm watching Netflix for 6 hours a day? If I'm watching sports for 6 hours a day? I got to put things in my mind, input, so I can have the right output. And we talked about how it bends reality, right? 8 rules for highly effective goals. This is very, very basic stuff. You have to write them down. Hey, you got some goals? Yeah, man, they're all up here. No one successful says that, right? Nothing's up here. You got to write it down. State in the present tense as if you already have it. State it positively. Not I will not smoke. That's not how you say it, right? I am a non-smoker.